Okay, good evening and welcome to the September 28th special meeting of the Berea Board of Education. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Chapman?
Chapman here.
Mrs. Ferris?
Ferris here.
Mr. Dockman?
Document here.
Mr. Duke?
Duke here.
Mr. Postal?
Postal here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which
it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all. So before we start agenda item 1, I just wanted to say for anyone who's watching out there, even though this was called an emergency meeting, there's no emergency. That's just a term because this wasn't a meeting that was already scheduled, and it was scheduled very quickly over the weekend. And the reason that we're having this to discuss this memorandum of understanding with our teachers union is that it was in the works for our last meeting last Monday, but it wasn't complete and ready to go. And we didn't want to wait until next Monday, till our next meeting, to be able to finalize everything. So that's all, the only reason that we're having this today. So, oops, I'm clicking on the screen instead of on my own screen. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the attached memorandum of understanding between the Berea Federation of Teachers and the Berea Board of Education.
So moved, Ferris.
Postal second.
So Tracy, can you tell us, why the need for this and how it all came about, and then we can ask some questions?
Yeah, so again, we've been working on this for the last several weeks. There's in the information I shared with you on Friday to go over, each one of the points in the MOU. A lot of these things we've already put in place with the BFT. So we just felt like we needed to take it, we needed to put it in writing. We've worked very closely with Brian Kessler and the BFT just to get everything where we are. A couple things in here that in particular that, and again, I think, why we did this tonight is because there's just some things in there that specifically address TVLA. And we're obviously moving in that direction this week to finish all of those pieces up. So we spent about 2 weeks with Brian and Mr. Kessler and other members of the BFT and members of the administration. Started with a draft, gone back and forth, had some different discussions about items. And then, like you said, this was rolled out. Brian rolled this out to his membership. What was it? Tuesday last week. And then gave them time. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday. Then obviously gave them time to respond, ask questions. And then they voted on it starting on Thursday, and it closed Friday afternoon. So that's why we were kind of, as you said, in progress from our last meeting till the time we got here on Friday. So they just finished up that voting Friday afternoon. So I know, Jeff, you had said something, Mr. Duke, about you had a couple questions.
Okay, again, three questions. I think 3, maybe 4, maybe clarifications for me. Tracy, I know you sent some communication in the past, regarding the points on the MOU, and I just once again, these are just clarifications. Item number 4. Mm-hmm. When you go to item number 4, it talks about the workday. One workday will be provided between remote learning and move to hybrid model. Was last Friday the workday?
Yes.
Okay, so if we flip flop, you know what I mean? If we go red or purple and and have to go back or forth possibly this year, is it a workday each time that we might flip flop, or just the one time?
Just the one time, and I just reiterate for everyone to know because the reason why we did it was because at the beginning of the year they did have 2 work days scheduled, but then we worked with Brian and the BFT on reducing that to 1 work day so that we would have an additional PD day. So we're done. That's the one. Okay. Friday was it. Yes.
So one and done, not every time that there's a transition. Okay.
Correct.
Not that hopefully there won't be flip flops, throughout the year,
right,
as well there. So, Number 8 there, when it talks about conducting in person, it says the district shall offer period substitution opportunities to all eligible teachers. And then, it continues on to say eligible classified employees. I think the email you sent previously said certified. Can you explain the difference between classified and certified just to make sure we're clear on this? I might have misread the email previously. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, so our certified is our certificated staff are like our teachers, our guidance counselors, and our classified staff would be if we have a intervention associate, if we had a secretary that we needed to cover a class or things like that. So could be one of our student monitors that's in there during that time. So that's the difference between our classified and our certified class.
Keyword being eligible, though. It's not like you're going to put a bus driver as a substitute for a physics class, unless they were eligible.
Well, no. So here's the thing. So the way and again, who knows what this is going to look like when we're actually back in person, right? So if, let's say, for example, we have a teacher who's isn't sick, but who's just working from home, right? Because they've been quarantined because of a case at school or a case of in their own personal life, they can still teach, but it may be that we just need a body in there, right, to sit with the kids while the teacher teaches from home if we can't find a certified staff member to sit in class. It could also be then that someone has to instruct, but in those cases, we're hoping that we're able to fill those positions with a certified staff member.
Okay. Then that clarifies it for me. I think I was just getting confused on the terminology there. Okay. So, and then final question, number 9 there, you mentioned the rate, I think, for the overage was like $250 per student per quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think in the email might have had a different number. And I think I read it maybe as the annual total versus the, per quarter total there. So I was just
let me clarify that because Dr. Postal had the same question over the weekend. So what I put in my email to you and the information in there is what current contract language is. So it is a different amount. It's a different amount for TVLA than it is for regular person.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to show you what the current contract language is versus where we landed for TVLA.
Okay, and that was what was in the email previously then. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
I think I just, saw the two differences. I'm like, wait a minute, that I noticed the difference on the number there. So,
Yeah.
okay.
To piggyback on that as well, the class sizes in the actual MOU are slightly different than the class sizes in your the email that you sent to help kind of give us a explanation of each point. Is that the same thing?
Yep, that's what our current contract language is. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Maybe I didn't say it as well, but yeah. So I put on there that BFT contract currently has class size limits. So yeah, I just wanted you to see what it is currently for in person, and then what the
okay
LA numbers look like.
Okay.
Question.
Thanks.
Hold on, my lights are going out. All right, go ahead.
Question. You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. If classified staff has to fill in for a class for certified, do they get extra stipend?
It all depends on what they're doing, because remember, we're bringing classified staff, back in, and they may work in a role that's a little different than what they are normally doing. So it just really depends on whether or not they're actually doing what their job, or whether they're doing, whether we're pulling them from that. Jill, I don't think there's a difference, is there? Help me.
I think it's going to depend on case by case. If there is a student monitor, instructional assistant, instructional associate, it just is going to depend case by case.
But there's no
Definitely
provisions.
if they're being pulled from a completely different classification where they've never been with kids, yes, we would have to look at that. But if it's already currently kind of in their capacity, it just depends. And that's going to be case by case that we're going to have to look at is if there will be additional pay for that or not.
Mhm.
We don't have any provisions right now for that.
No.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get into this and see how it looks and then make decisions from there. Again, the student monitors and the aides are used to being with the kids, where we wouldn't pull probably a cafeteria worker or a bus driver to sit in with kids. And that would be, again, a different pay scale if we did that. Transferred them involuntarily for a day or two.
Yeah, but you might have to.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And you look at the pay rate, okay.
Yep.
And that's all contingent on whether or not we have actual certified substitute teachers that are available, correct?
Right.
Yep.
Right. So we do have some building subs that will be there 4 days a week to help cover that in those situations as much as we can.
I have a question about number 6. About the recording of classes and that only the teacher will be shown. And maybe Vicky knows better about the answer to this. Are they still logging on through Blackboard like they're doing right now in remote? Because you can see X number of faces. So if there's multiple kids logging in, aren't they still going to see those other faces? Are they only going to see the faces of the kids that are remote and the teacher? They won't see the kids that are actually in school.
Correct. That's what that language really is that it's not about recording and showing what's going on in the classroom as much as it is just recording the teacher delivering the lesson.
Okay. And then those kids that are on the screen like we all are right now, they won't be on there. It'll just be the teacher that's being shown for the recording.
Say that again.
The recording that the teacher is making, it's just gonna eventually, if my kid has to watch it later on, he's only gonna see the teacher, not all the virtual kids on the screen. Like I'm seeing all of you guys right now on my screen.
I think they might, so it's possible. So this really is just to talk about that, Anna, as far as what we're not asking a teacher to tape record it the entire class.
Right.
So I think that you still could in a recording, because if the teacher's trying to watch what's going on with the the TDLA kids or the remote kids that day, they may show up on a recording.
Okay.
I think it's really just more for the in-person, that whole in-person piece is what that really addresses.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, anything
Are
else?
there other questions? So just for people out there watching, this makes no change to what was announced at our last meeting about the hybrid plan that begins on October 5th. It makes no changes to TVLA. It makes no changes to anything. It just clarifies things for our certified staff.
Mhm.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ferris?
Ferris, yes.
Mr. Postal?
Postal, yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Chapman, yes.
Mr. Dockman?
Document, yes.
Mr. Duke?
Duke, yes.
Okay, can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right,
Okay, thank you, everyone.
44.